Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take for Market Rebellion on this Tuesday morning. A little bit of a cloudy Tuesday morning, a little bit dreary outside, but I will tell you this. We had an absolutely incredible run in the month of August, the best performance in close to 30 years, and then just an amazing move to the upside. Now, that being said, it was a mixed day yesterday. As a matter of fact, the Dow actually pulling back about 225 points or thereabouts, and we had some strength in certain areas. Certainly, Apple was very strong, but there was some weakness out there as well. The financials certainly weren't helping. It was J.P. Morgan, it was Visa, it was Goldman Sachs pulling on the Dow, along with Disney. And there was also some pressure, and the pressure coming from Boeing and Dow and Honeywell and 3M. So you get the idea. Some of those industrials really feeling some heavy pressure yesterday. And as I mentioned, with the financials as well, we had a pretty significant pull to the downside with just some of the technology names really being the side that was actually trying to pull us back up. Well, that was definitely reflected when you look at what happened with the NASDAQ yesterday. Despite the fact that we were down over 200 points on the Dow, NASDAQ finished up about 80 points yesterday, a pretty strong move. And part of that move, Tesla. Absolutely amazing. We talk about Apple and we talk about Tesla. We've talked about these splits, the 4 for 1, the 5 for 1. But take a look at that move that we got out of Tesla yesterday, 12.5% post-split. I mean, that's really amazing. Also, we had a great day out of Zoom. Zoom just absolutely rocketed to the upside. That was up about 8% as well. And let's not forget about biotech. You look over at the XBI, and suddenly you see another indice that's up almost 3% on the day. And a lot of different names there, Alexion or Regeneron. We got the big names too participating in terms of biotech itself. So you've got Biogen, Gilead, you got Vertex. So a nice blend of a lot of nice, strong moves on the biotech side, which continues to explode to the upside. And we continue to talk about that and watch that. You know what else is continuing to the upside? New highs once again, the chips. Look at the SMH. Look at the semiconductors. Absolutely have been on fire. AMD, Intel, NVIDIA, Broadcom, those names really powering that. And we had some volatility yesterday. When we had all this movement within the mixed movement of the Dow and the NASDAQ, and there was plenty of moves in between, we had the VIX actually up about 15% yesterday. So that was a pretty interesting move to the upside as well, with copper still holding on to about that $3 level, just hanging on up there. But I think quietly has made that move up and over 3, and people just aren't paying attention. It was down a little bit yesterday, very little, but still above $3. So that's something. I've brought up volume, it seems like, each and every day, and I will continue to do so because I think it's worth pointing out how impressive this has been. When you look at the volumes, we again, 30 plus million contracts again yesterday, 31.3 million. And let me just read off some of it. The splits, we talked about the splits. And this is why oftentimes people who are talking about, well, there's nothing fundamentally has changed. Despite the fact that that is true, there are some changes in mentality and the ability to use the options world when you've suddenly got a stock that splits 4 for 1 or 5 for 1, and suddenly people feel like it's a little bit more of something that they can attain. Here's what I'd point out. Apple. 3.1 million contracts traded yesterday. That's about how many total contracts were trading when I entered the options world back in 1992. So to just give a little bit of context to what we're talking about here, Tesla, 2.4 million contracts trading yesterday in Tesla. Throw in AMD, which was over 800,000. Oh, and by the way, NEO, Intel, Microsoft, Zoom, Boeing, Facebook, all over 250,000 contracts trading on the day. It gives you the sense of just an explosive growth area. And certainly when we talk about those splits and those big dollar stocks, it gives people a little bit more of an opportunity to be a participant even in the options world. And the premiums get a lot lower as you come down. Even though I know structurally we understand what's going on and a lot has not changed, but there are some changes in terms of the ability for folks. And we talk about that all the time. We talk about liquidity. So those splits were certainly something amazing. And not only did they have huge volume, take a look at what Apple did yesterday. It surged higher by about 3.3%. Tesla, I mentioned earlier, but still 12.5%. Let's think about that. This is a stock that has been absolutely rocketing to the upside for months and yet still added another 12% post-split. So liquidity premium is something that we talk about every once in a while, and certainly I think that fits into what we were looking at yesterday. Now, jumping into today, pretty interesting day. In the pre-market, Dow was down just a little bit in the pre-market. Matter of fact, the NASDAQ actually was up about 100 points in the pre. A lot of that changed once we got into the regular session and we started to see, and suddenly the market was getting pushed to the downside in terms of the Dow. It was down about 130 points right out of the open. Right now, it's only down about 32 points. We're only about 20 minutes into the trading session. But then we'll take a look over at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ actually had a pretty powerful move up about 55. It's added to that. Now it's up about 72 points. So we are seeing a little bit of recovery in terms of the Dow. You're seeing a little bit more build in terms of the NASDAQ, and certainly off of the levels from where we started this morning, a pretty nice pickup in terms of the Dow. Now, Zoom. We brought up yesterday that was one of the leaders of the NASDAQ. Well, it's leading again today. Just an absolutely unbelievable move to the upside. I have seen Zoom actually up and over $400 a share, up about 100 points. Just an incredible return last night when the run into their numbers, and then suddenly you look at the numbers, you look at revenue that's quadrupled, you look at earnings that more than doubled the expectation that was out there. So just incredible numbers. Earnings 92 cents. It doesn't mean it's not a high PE stock by any stretch, but let's be honest, that was a huge number. And when you can deliver and you've got that kind of growth, then it seems that people have a little bit more comfort in, hey, maybe this growth is not done and maybe we've still got a little bit more upside. And that's obviously the mentality that we're seeing today. Just take a look at Zoom when you get a chance from where it started out at the beginning of the year. Then you got to the pandemic, and now here we are pushing into September, today being September 1st. A really unbelievable move. And then you look over at some of the commodities. We haven't talked about them much. I talked about copper. But oil got up and over a 43 already today. We have silver that's moving in the 29 range. And then gold still pushing. It's not quite there, but still pushing on 2,000 once again. So a pretty rapid recovery after getting over 2,000 and then selling off, getting very, very close to 2,000 once again. So you got a VIX trading at about 26. That's pretty interesting. We've got some great unusual already. And like I said, we're only 20 minutes into the day. I already had to make some choices on where I wanted to go. I've gone with this name before because I've seen paper come in short term and they just seem to have been right. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be right every single time, and eventually they will not. But I did see some interesting paper today in Roku. Right out of the gate, first one that hit on the unusual options heat seeker today, Roku. Now, what did they buy? Well, of course, they bought extremely short term. As a matter of fact, these expire Friday, the 4th of September. Yeah, we're in September. I'm reminding you once again. These do expire Friday. They're the 185 strike calls. And the stock trading about 180.5 at the time. So $4.50 out of the money and some pretty aggressive buying there. So I would just say that you have to at least acknowledge, take a look. Everybody's going to have opinions, but certainly that did hit right out of the gate. And I know just the other day we were talking about Roku and we were talking about some of the unusual options, and the stock has been absolutely just performing extremely well, and it just continues. Folks, you hear me talk all the time about knowledge is king. Well, knowledge truly is king. You've got to get educated. You've got to understand the derivatives markets because that is where the growth is now, and it's very exciting. I think it's awesome. There are great opportunities out there. That's why earlier I was talking about some of those volumes in Apple as well as Tesla that are absolutely off the charts. I mean, just unbelievable days. Well, I think a lot of that has to do with if you have a better understanding of it and you understand all the mechanics and the risks, you have a much better chance for some success. Doesn't guarantee anything, but the opportunity and the chance for success certainly is gained, and it positions you in a different way, and you can do all kinds of different things, but you've got to understand all the mechanics before you can do all of that, and that's why education is key, and that's why our guys here at Market Rebellion are the best in the industry. Folks, have a great day of trading. I'll see you either at noon or at 5 o'clock tonight Eastern time on both of those. CNBC, we got the halftime report, then we've got Fast Money. Have a great day of trading.